So, as everyone knows, Chris and I just recently came back into Korea. We've been here for a minute now. And if you don't know, hi, I'm Binnie. My boyfriend's Chris. We have a small apartment in Seoul. He's Korean. I obviously am not. I just wanted to make a quick video for those who follow me and those who don't alike to just inform you about some of the travel guidelines that are presently active for foreigners trying to enter Korea, because even having someone like Chris who can read all of the Korean information and up-to-date guidelines, it's been a really confusing process. A lot of information that's online is vague or outdated because honestly, just recently they started changing things very dramatically, very quickly. So even whenever I just came in, things now are slightly different. So let me just preface this video by saying straight up, there's no longer any mandatory quarantine for foreigners, and your vaccination status also does not matter. When I came, I did have to provide some vaccine records. However, on the date of like our actual travel, I think Chris went back and looked at our information and they had actually gotten rid of that portion. So things changed literally in between the time that we were like booking our tickets and when we were arriving, but I'll get into all of that. Here are the steps just to see if it helps anybody. If you're a foreigner who can travel to Korea and is going to travel to Korea, first thing that you have to do is fill out a K-ETA form. Because things are so uncertain due to Corona, filling out this application ahead of time basically guarantees that you will be granted a visa once you arrive. It's basically like a pre-approval for entry. So you have to fill out the application, you put in all of your passport information as well as a few other things that are like necessary for travel, and then within a couple of days to a week you'll be granted a status of approved or denied. Approval does not automatically grant you a visa or anything. However, being approved does mean that once you arrive you will be given a visa unless anything else unforeseeable sort of happens at immigration. There is a fee for this application of around $10. However, once you're approved it lasts for 2 years, which is awesome. And the only thing that you have to absolutely make certain of is that all of the information that you put on the application is correct. They will email you your approval, so make sure your email's right, and then also make sure that the information that you list matches your passport to a T. So for example, I know that if your name is off even slightly from your passport, that's an issue. So make sure you write your middle name or middle initial if it's on your passport, however it's on your passport, exactly that way on the application. So just to be safe, after the K-ETA approval is when I would go ahead and buy your plane ticket. And once you have that is when you have to fill out a Q code. Q code was basically designed to determine quarantine exemption, and now is just used generally as a measure of your health to make sure everything's all good before entering the country. It is a requirement of entering the country as of right now. And again, you'll have to just fill out your passport information as well as your flight number and departure date. So you'll have to have a ticket at this point, as I mentioned. And then the big thing that it asks for is a negative COVID test. Before you had to get a PCR test done, but now they are accepting either PCR or rapid antigen tests. However, this portion of the Q code application doesn't open until 72 hours before you leave, which is when they need the test result to be done. So you have the option of either filling out everything ahead of time and then revisiting the application to put in that information once you have it, or you can just fill it all out after you've gotten your test result. The good news is the QR code is generated automatically. You don't have to wait on results like you do for the K-ETA, so it's okay even if you wait a day or two before you're supposed to leave to fill this out. However, similarly to the K-ETA application, you have to make sure all of your information on this is correct and matches your passport. So whenever you go to get your test done, even whenever you're scheduling the test, you need to make sure that the name on the test matches what's on your passport. Double check with whoever you're getting tested with, and you also have to make sure that they will email you a document of your results that you can upload to the Q code. Because I know that some facilities will just try to send you a brief text message with your results, and that's not good enough. You have to have some sort of like legit documentation with the facility's name on it to submit to the Q code. So just make sure that they give you something like that. And as long as those requirements are met, I would definitely recommend doing the rapid antigen test, just because I know that it can be a little cheaper, and you may be able to find some local facilities that'll even do it for you for free. So once you've received your negative test results and log it into the Q code, it'll generate your QR code for you immediately. So make sure you screenshot that page. However, if you miss that, they will also email you a copy of the QR code, which is another reason why you need to make sure your email is like correct. And then just make sure that you have copies of both the K-ETA approval and the Q code printed out and on your phone when you go to the airport, just in case. I also brought a printed version of just my negative test result, just to be safe. It never hurts to be prepared, so that's just what I would recommend. When you arrive to the Incheon airport, there will be plenty of signage telling you where to go and when to present these documents, so don't be too stressed out about that. But once you've made it through the airport and immigration and into the country, the first thing you need to do is get another PCR test done, and this does have to be a PCR test, as far as I know, and it needs to be done within 72 hours of you arriving into the country. You can either get this done within the airport or at like an external facility or clinic in Korea. However, not all of those facilities provide testing to foreigners, so the surefire way of getting things done is just to do it while you're in the airport. However, just note that there is a chance that these places might be closed by the time you arrive at the airport. I'll put the exact schedule next to me so that you can see, but you can also always look it up, and then just make sure you check your passport and just double check which terminal you're in so that you know where to go. Once you get your results from that, you're not required to submit them anywhere. However, it is a requirement, so for any reason you decide not to do it and the government finds out, you can get like a really bad hefty fine, and I think also the possibility of jail time. So just make sure that you do it. It is a requirement for people entering the country, so don't mess with them. Just do it. You've already done so much to get here, right? So those are all of the basic, very important requirements that I know of right now. And the great thing is, if things ever change, once you're in the airport, even if you didn't do your Q code yet, they have signs like telling you how to do it and how to sign up like right then and there. And then also once I left, there were people handing me forms that told me, hey, like you need to go get a PCR test now within 72 hours. Blah, blah, blah. So even though all of the information online is very vague and confusing, the information at the actual airport, which might not be that much help, but once you're at the actual airport, they'll make sure you're up to date. So I hope that helps. I'm just making this because I wish I had a video like this around the time that I was trying to travel. Things were very unclear. We had Chris looking at Korean articles. I was looking at American articles. His mom was in Korea literally calling people for us to find out exactly what we needed to do. But things are slowly getting a lot simpler, which is great, and things are opening back up again. So let me know if you have any other questions. I can definitely do my best to try to find them out for you, and I'll talk to you later.